Yes, sir. May I start?
Yeah, I think we can start.
Yes, sir.
Mm.
So, Diba ma'am, are you audible? Diba ma'am? I think she is having some problem.
No, no,
Okay.
no,
Okay.
just keep
Yeah.
on, no,
Okay.
going. Yeah,
So let us start.
yeah.
Most respected Trivandrum Sahodaya Complex President Srimati Thambati ma'am, Secretary Mr. Frederick sir, Treasurer Dr. Ravindran Nair sir, Kanagambi ma'am, our today's speaker Ms. Aishwarya Taneja, fathers, sisters, principals, teachers, a very warm good evening to one and all. Today, actually, Deepa ma'am was supposed to say the welcome speech, but in her absence, I'm doing the thing. So, this is our family. We are not guests here. All of us are having the same role, but it's my responsibility to welcome each one of you to this function. So let me first welcome our president, our beautiful young lady, Tambati Ma'am, always energetic, active, and I think she is the role model of Trivandrum Sahodaya Complex. Hearty welcome to this program, Tambati Ma'am. And I would like to welcome our secretary, Mr. Frederick sir. I think he will attend the program. But on his absence also, on behalf of Trivandrum Sahodaya Complex, I welcome Frederick sir to this program. And next, I would like to welcome Dr. Ravindran Nair sir, our Trivandrum Sahodaya Complex Treasurer and in charge of Academic and Training Unit, and is the most important person, scientist. I don't know what are they, what else is there. He is always active and he is always busy. And I welcome on behalf of Sahodaya,
Thank
Trivandrum
you.
Sahodaya Complex, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
And I would like to welcome our today's speaker, Mrs. Miss Aishwarya Taneja. And I will talk about her in the means after the welcome speech. I will talk about her to you, and I welcome you, ma'am, to this function, to this webinar, and all the others, those who are present here. I would like to welcome each one of you, and I would like to say something about our today's special speaker. And here today, Trivandrum Sahodaya Complex is in association with its academic and training unit, presenting its webinar series on the topic Conduct of Term 1 Examination and Special Assessment Scheme for Competency-Based Education, the need of the hour. Many of us are having so many doubts and confusions on this topic. Today, we got the right person to clear our confusions. Miss Aishwarya Taneja. She is the HOD Economics and CBSE resource person. She has 18 years of teaching experience. She has been a pioneer in initiating various innovative techniques of teaching and novel competitions. She has been panelist for discussions New Education Policy. She is the recipient of Global Teacher Award, Dr. Sarojini Naidu Award for Working Women, and Dronacharya Award for Excellence. Microsoft Innovator, Expert, and internationally certified career coach. Moreover, she is AEF resource person too. She had conducted many webinars for Sahodayas in South. Today she will be talking about conduct of Term 1 examination and special assessment scheme for competency-based education. And the highlights of the webinar is conduct of term 1 and rationalize the syllabus for terms, typology of questions covered, like case study, assertion, reason based questions, internal assessment, evaluation, and uploading of marks, writing learning outcomes using Bloom's taxonomy, competency based education. All of these are very much important now because board exams are very close, and we would like to more about internal assessment, uploading of marks, and the preparation of questions, and also what is CBE. So I am damn sure that after this webinar, all of you will get a crystal clear cut about all this. All she will be clearing all of your confusions. So once again, I welcome each one of you present here on behalf of Trivandrum Sahodaya Complex. And I welcome Aishwarya ma'am, and I humbly request all of you to mute your mic till the end of the session. And if you have any doubts, please put it in the chat box. And Aishwarya ma'am, it's your turn. And have a blessed evening and wish you all the best.
Thank you so much for such a warm welcome by each one of you. It is indeed a pleasure to be a part of the Ravindram Sahodaya group and share whatever we have regarding term 1 issued by CBSE and anything, any matter, any concept which is related to competency-based education with each one of you. So I am sure that after 1 hour of this session, we'll be able to clear and whatever doubts that we have, and a lot of jargons and a lot of terms that we have started using over the period of last 6 months, we'll be able to understand where and when to use those terms, so that competency based education is not something which is distant in the books only, but it is something which is part and parcel of our everyday lesson plan. So I welcome you all once again to a power packed session on conduct of term 1, and we'll be talking a lot about competency based assessment over here. So let's make it interactive. You can use the chat box whenever you wish to ask me a question, and we'll take up as and when the um, time is there, or maybe at the end of the session. So I'll begin by sharing my screen, and we'll ask you, few technical questions. So let me just start. Okay, so I can see that my screen is visible.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Okay, with Google we cannot have the slide chat box. Okay, so this is what we are going to discuss. These are the, something which the problem is, and everybody is so confused regarding it, that we are asking for competency-based education, we are asking for personalized learning, we are asking for student-centered approach, and somehow in this maze of so many technical words, the question is how is the teacher supposed to blend the competency-based learning in already existing environment? Does she has enough of training? He or she, does they have enough of training? Is it possible to blend with competency based with the existing system of learning? So there are a lot of questions which everybody has been asking for past 6 months, and especially once now we know that the schools are about to reopen, and it will reopen from class 1 onwards, then it becomes even more difficult to understand that how is are we going to work with the hybrid mode, or if we finish it further, if we go further down, then how are we going to do blended learning? So let me tell you, whatever steps that CBSE or the government of India is taking under National Education Policy, they all are a part of competency based education. So there's nothing to be worried about. Every step that we are taking is a part and is a step towards National Education Policy, is a step towards competency based education. So the good news is, and that is a very good news, that if you are going to provide competency based education to students, There is an opportunity in the adversity, because the teacher, you, has to be trained for a competency based education. So the same opportunities which will be provided to the student, those opportunities will be provided to the mentor also. So there's nothing to be worried about, there's nothing to be scared of, there's nothing to be confused about, that how are we going to do this term 1 MCQs. I know most of you have got, those sample papers, those big guidebooks by now, where there are a lot of questions based on remembering, assertion based, case study. And we are bombarding our students by telling them, do only MCQ, there is no subjective. But that is what we are going to discuss here, that why the approach to the MCQ based term 1 has to be different, and it has not to be told to the students that they are only supposed to do MCQ. So we are going to, of course, take up that also as we proceed. So term 1, entirely competency based, right? So it is different from an outcome based learning, which only focuses on the occupation, the vocational and the non vocational education. But here we are talking about personalized learning. We are talking about, yes, try and try till you succeed, but at the same time what we are telling the student is that how many times do you require feedback, how many times did the teacher, did the mentor, did the guide intervene to help the student in solving that particular problem. So definitely try and try till you succeed, but it cannot be innumerable number of trials. We have to ensure that the mentor intervenes, the mentor is competency based trainer, so that the child is able to understand that I'm receiving this feedback, and next time, the next try that I make has to be an improvement over my previous trial. So what is competency based learning? It is a structured approach to learning and assessment, which means we are directing the individuals towards acquiring knowledge, skills, attitudes, and most importantly, values. So all these are very, very important. So it's very important for you to know this, to understand why term 1, it is not something which has been introduced because of COVID-19 pandemic. It is here to stay, and it will be a regular part and parcel of our assessments. So we are moving from behaviorism to constructivism, to creating something new. We are moving away from passive learning to active learning, from decreased responsibility to increased responsibility. That means when we say student's role in outcome, it is the student who decides what he wants to learn and how he wants to learn. So that is something which is there in your annual pedagogical plan, which is given by CBSE also, and you have to prepare at the beginning of the year. So annual pedagogical plan, you cannot call it syllabus, because syllabus only covers the curriculum. But when we talk about annual pedagogical plan, we are covering the learning outcomes. So the student is supposed to know what is he or she going to learn at the end of the lesson. So I'm moving from a follower to a direction problem solver. We are moving from a process, we are moving to a process oriented curriculum rather than a product oriented, right? We are focusing on inculcating skills, inculcating attitudes, giving values to our students, rather than just focusing on the last 100% exam, that is the board exam, that whatever marks that you get, that is the end of your life, that is the product oriented learning. But we are focusing now more on the process, how we achieve that learning outcomes. As a teacher, the role is no longer instructor, but the role is just a facilitator. So I would like to just play a small video in competency. I'm not going to play the entire video, but just to give an idea of what exactly do we mean by competencies. This is an altogether a different webinar in it. But before we come to term 1, it's very important to understand that you are going to test your students on various competencies. When we say Bloom's taxonomy, when we are talking about remembering, understanding, evaluating, differentiating, creating, What we are doing is we are testing the student on various competencies. So before we come to term 1, so just understand briefly what do we mean by a competency based education. So just few technical question I'll ask again. Is it audible? Is the video audible?
Video notes.
Yes, is
Uh,
audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much.
They're making more and they're charging more for it.
How does that relate back to our free market?
As demand goes, why?
Because we assess student mastery of competence, we have a better understanding of exactly what the student can do. It's a more equitable system for assessing student understanding, and it also puts the ownership of the learning.
You're being assessed on competency number 3, presentation of learning.
Competency-based learning is the idea that students are trying to meet certain big picture objectives, not so much
This is what we need to
Please mute the mic. Please mute the mic.
the most fundamental shift in to the enduring skill set. We're gonna have like 2 of each, and the kids, because that's how they're being assessed, start to think about things a little bit more in terms of the enduring understandings you're trying to get at.
Good morning. I'd like you to start working on your project today. So let's go to competency 2. It is over here on the walls.
I think the competency-based approach is better to do.
Right. Okay. So the moment we talk about competency, why I showed you this video, because as a mentor, you are also supposed to tell your students on what competencies you are going to judge them. So when we talk about term 1 MCQs, when we are talking about those 40, 50 and 60 questions that are going to come in the exams, inform your students that you are being tested on remembering, understanding, evaluation, creation. A case study question is going to check your application. So when the student is aware about the competency for he or being is tested upon, then it is a better way of understanding a concept. Now it is something like GPS. You all know what is GPS is. GPS is Global Positioning System. Now what does GPS do? You want to reach a particular destination, you type the address in the beginning itself, and then you know that the Google is going to take you that particular destination. You are aware of the journey, you are aware of the milestone, you know what journey you are going to take, how much time it is going to take, how many minutes, whether there is traffic in between. That is the purpose of competency based education. It is like a GPS in your student's life, and even in your mentor, even in the mentor's life, because in advance you are deciding upon the learning outcome, you are deciding what the student is going to learn, how the student is going to learn, on what particular parameters the student is going to be assessed upon. So it's similar to GPS, and which is as simple as that. So as you can see on the screen, these are some of the CBSE circulars regarding the implementation of the competency based education. SAFL is a step towards that. Then there is FLN and Nipun Bharat, and a lot of the financial literacy, the skill based course which have been introduced, the vocational courses that have been introduced, all are a part of competency based education. Right. So now we come to the special scheme of examination for 2021 and 22. Now each one of you, it's like October 30th today, and I'm sure each one of you must have read the circular, read it by heart, and understood that what is the scheme, because in another 15 days we are going to start with minor subjects examinations. Briefly, I'm going to take that up, and then I'll take up the conduct of the examination. So academic term has been divided into 2 terms with approximately 50% of syllabus in each term. It is a rationalized syllabus depending upon the topics and concepts which should be taken up objectively, or those concepts which should be taken up subjectively. And this has been done by various subject experts. So internal assessment project work has to be more credible and valid, because you know that term 1 is entirely in the school, and term 2 is where the external is going to come and take the viva for your students. For classes 9 and 10, internal assessment includes 3 periodic tests: subject in student enrichment, portfolio, and practical work, speaking, listening activities. That is the project. Now here it is suggested, and CBSE has also suggested in its circular also, that it is important that the schools has a digital portfolio for every student. So there are various ways by which e-portfolios can be created for your students. You can use Google Sites, you can use Flipgrid, you can use Padlet. There are various ways of creating a digital portfolio. So if I have time, I will take up that also. But you must instruct your students, not from class 9 and 10 onwards, but also a class 6 child, that they should make a digital portfolio from now onwards, wherein they can, whatever work, whatever practical work, whatever periodic test, whatever student enrichment activities that they're doing, multiple assessment activities that they're doing are recorded in that digital portfolio. For classes 11th and 12th, internal assessment would include end of the topic. It's a simply project-based topic. For mathematics, you have a periodic test of 5 marks. So there are exploratory activities, practicals, and projects. So it is very important to create a digital portfolio, which is essential from the point of view of uploading also in terms of internal assessment. So this will be given by the platform will be there, and CBSE would be giving the platform for uploading of the internal assessment marks. So this is term 1 examination. We all know it's 1 hour and 30 minutes, and now the reading time has been increased by 5 minutes. It was earlier 15 minutes, now it is 20 minutes. Maximum marks is 40 depending upon, or 35 depending upon the subject that you are doing. MCQs only, and now that we know the scenario, that it's mostly will be an offline examination, which will cover 50% of the syllabus. The question papers will be sent by the CBSE with the marking schemes, and there will be an observer appointed by the CBSE. For schools which have around 500 students, it will be 1 observer, and for above more than 500, there will be 2 observers, and consequently. There will be OMR sheets, and as you all know that OMR sheets will have 5 options in A, B, C, D, E, and 1 extra one, to ensure that if the student has made error in all the 4 options, then it can be then they can use the last option to write the correct answers. Marks of the term 1 examination will contribute to the final overall score of the students. However, the weightage has not been clearly given by the CBSE, depending upon what happens with the term 2 examination. So this is the evaluation of the OMR sheets of term 1. It will start on day 1, on the same day, that is. The evaluation will start at 1:40 and will continue till 4 p.m. The answer key will be available around 1:30, and since it's an MCQ, any teacher can check the OMR sheet. Only the correct answers have to be uploaded. That is, if 20 answers are correct, evaluator will upload only 20. Like in section A, if you have 24 questions and the child has attempted all 24, then it is the first 20 questions which will be evaluated for, and not the all correct 20 questions, but 20 answers. But if the child has done all 24, then only first 20 will be evaluated for. Calculation of marks will be done by the CBSE. There will not be, the marks will be disclosed, but nobody will be marked in essential repeat or compartment or failure. Anything will not be done as at the end of the term 1. So term 2 examination, 120 minutes, 2 hours paper, 40 marks, depending, or 35 marks, depending upon the subject that you have, subjective. And here also, depending upon the scenario, now that we see that everything seems to be is recovering, we are back to school. So I'm sure we will have an offline exam. So if term 1,
Excuse me, ma'am. Are you sharing something?
yes, I am.
But it is not moving, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, now it's okay.
Okay, let me share again. I'll do that.
Yeah.
Is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am. Now it's okay.
Okay. So if term 1 and term 2 examinations both are offline, then the weightage will be 50-50%. But if the second one, whichever is online, will have a lesser weightage. So this examination will be held around March, April. Has my screen changed now, Annie ma'am?
We
Ma'am,
can see. We can see. We
okay,
can see
you
the
can.
term 2 examination, year-end
100%.
examination.
Year
Yeah,
end
Right,
exam.
it is
right.
visible. It is
Okay.
visible. Yeah.
So term 2 examinations will be from March to April as on the centers fixed by the board. This is most probably going to be an offline exam. It will be of 2 hours duration, and then it will have open-ended, short answer, long answer type, case-based and situation-based questions. So it will be a descriptive paper as compared to term 1, which will be based more on competency based, based on Bloom's taxonomy, and term 2 will be mostly descriptive paper, and together it will contribute to the final score. The weightage is yet to be decided, and depending upon how these examinations are conducted. Right, this is something which I've already explained it to you. So the weightage will depend upon how the examination is conducted. So internal assessments results would be computed on the basis of the internal assessment, practical project work and theory marks of term 1 and term 2 exams taken by the candidate from home in class 10th and 12th, and whatever moderation is required depending upon the situation. So it's very important that the reliability of internal assessments is maintained. Now here we come with internal assessments for classes 9th and 10th. So PT will contribute 3 marks, multi-assessment, this is term wise, multi-assessment 2 marks, portfolio, that is the classwork and etc. will be 2 marks, and subject enrichment 3 marks. So in total it will be 10 marks. So that means there will be periodic test, multiple assessments which is embedded in the classroom pedagogy. So there will be student enrichment activities which can be practical work, listening activities, projects. Periodic test, there is no hard and fast rule that you have to conduct 2 PTs in the first term and or 2 in the second term. They would be restricted to 3 in each subject, and you can decide when you want to take both the terms. One at least has to be in the both the terms, and you can either take 2 PTs in term 1 or 2 PTs in term 2. So there is no rule as such that you have to take 2 PTs in term 1 or 2 PTs in term 2. So there is role play, group discussion, multiple assessment activities. Like I said, I mean, this is very important for each one of you to remember is why this has been included here. When I say it's a competency based education, what the board is trying to do is let the student decide how they want to be assessed. It's a 2 mark, 3 mark assessment. Why not let the student decide how they wish to be assessed? If they wish to be assessed by singing a rap song, or maybe having a role play, somebody is on unmute, could they mute themselves? There is a lot of disturbance in the background.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Let the student choose how they want to be assessed. They want to do a panel discussion, they want to do a recitation, they want to do a skit. The only important thing as a mentor that you are required to do is give them a clear a correct rubrics. Like if you are assessing them for group discussion, it's a 3-mark multiple assessment activity. Tell them that I'm going to assess you. 1 mark is for teamwork, 1 mark is for content, 1 mark is your presentation. So it's very important to provide them with the rubrics, but it is not important for you to be in the box and decide that this is the way you are going to be assessed upon. So it's a very open discussion that you can have in the class, that we have done this particular chapter, and this is just let me know how you want to be assessed. You want to do a skit on it, you want to create some cuisine, you want to create a product out of it, you want to play dumb charades, and you want to show it's show and tell activity, whatever that they want to be assessed upon. So it's important for them to know what rubrics they are being assessed upon, rather than just telling them that this is the activity, I'm going to assess you like this. So we will have to do away with this system very, very soon. The art integrated activity will continue as per the last year, as it was for class till class 10th, which was multidisciplinary, and for class 11th and 12th, the subject specific.
Madam, are you on the same slide or you're changing it?
Now I have changed it.
No, we're not able to see. I mean, we see only the old slide, term to exam, year-end examination.
Okay, can you now see internal assessment?
No, now we are in term.
Okay. Let me share. I think Google goes through. Okay. What can you see now? Internal assessment?
Yes. Yeah, internal assessment. Yeah.
Okay. So internal assessment, subjects with theory of 70 marks. So we have 15 marks for term 1 and 15 marks for term 2. 15 marks is internal, which is dependent upon the teacher itself. But yes, the evidence can be asked from the teacher. So if you are conducting your internal exams right now, it's very important that you continue following the same procedure that you would do for term 2. The evidence of photograph should be maintained, the award list should be properly maintained, and you should take a proper procedure of conducting the internal assessment as mentioned in the CBSE circular. So now I have changed the slide. Could you see the change?
No, ma'am. This is not changing. Now we are still in mathematics. Yeah, we are still mathematics.
Still in mathematics. Yeah. Okay. Achha, you still at
and can you please show the other slide that showing the split up also? Probably teachers will be interested in that one. Yeah.
Right. Now this is mathematics. You can see the mathematics one.
That is already there.
That is already there. Now I'm changing. Okay, mathematics one. Now I'm changing to physics, chemistry, and bio.
No, it has not come. No.
Now it has not come. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, has it? Are you? You can see the slide, or you can see the PPT.
No, I think it is. This is a PPT. No, I mean, so now it is showing mathematics.
Now it is showing mathematics. Now it is showing physics, chemistry, bio.
Chemistry. Correct. Yeah. Correct.
Okay. So is it showing a slideshow, or is it showing the tab in the vertical
it's
tab?
not a slideshow. It's not
it's
slideshow.
Not
I
a
think,
slideshow.
No.
Okay. Okay. So now you can see physics, chemistry, and bio. I want you to actually take up mathematics also. Now can you see mathematics? No.
No, ma'am. Still it is there. I mean, physics, chemistry, biology.
Okay.
Now it has come back to mathematics.
It has come back to mathematics. So for mathematics, I guess I'll not change the slideshow then.
Okay.
Okay. So that way then it is visible.
Yeah.
So for mathematics, it is periodic test of 5 marks and an activity, which is your activity file, and term and assessment of 1 activity. There will be also be a viva of which will all together constitute your 5 marks. So PT periodic test is something that you must take for mathematics in class 11th and 12th, which is very, very important. Now, for term 2, of course, the same thing proceeds. It's a periodic test and a math activity with the external viva. However, there have been cases, there are chances that you may not have an external viva for mathematics due to the presence of the activity file and the internal assessment that the teachers are taking. So this is physics, chemistry, and bio. That is 15 marks for term 1, and external examiner 15 marks for term 2. Then we have internal assessment for subjects with theory of 80 marks. So stage, you have now CPSE has given stages. The particular reason for allotting stages was that by October you are able to provide the guidelines to your students, and then you can start with asking your students to complete the project. So the idea was that for at every stage the student gets the marks for the effort that they are putting in. So stage 1, now that it is almost October 30th, so I would say it is 10 marks for term 1 if you haven't started your projects as yet, and in term 2 it is of course 10 marks for along with the external viva, and total together it will be 20 marks. All evidence, everything has to be maintained so that we can ensure that the whenever CBSE asks us to provide the evidence, we are able to do so. Okay, so these are the assessment areas that are being judged for. Our students are being judged upon: knowledge, understanding, concepts, analysis, evaluation, and creating. So it is knowledge and understanding, which is around 46% of the total marks that you have, and then you have 22 and around 30% for the rest. So that means the schools have to ensure that the internal assessment is reliable, fair, and transparent. It has to be, there will be evidence will be required. I'm reiterating again and again because there have been many schools who have approached me and then they say term 1 is internal, let's not have evidences. But I'm again reiterating this fact: please maintain the evidence, please have the files ready, please make sure that you click the photograph. Your award lists should be perfectly in order as you would be doing for term 2, or you generally do in your previous years. So you may be asked to upload the evidence. So these are the other subjects like Bharatanatyam, painting, if you have in your, depending upon how much of practical that component that you have. So this is also the guidelines for subjects having project work, which is around 20. So this is the objective, to ensure that you are actually I just want to take this up a little bit, that most of the time when we are doing the projects, we do not focus on inculcating the habit of researching in our students. The idea of introducing projects in all the subjects in class 11th and 12th is just to ensure that they inquire, they do research, they do case studies, and they reflect on whatever they have learned. So this is one project to be done throughout the entire year, but then it should have case studies. It should be based on the knowledge that they have acquired. They should be able to reflect on what they have learned. So the teacher plays a very, very important role. That is the stage 1, where you get 5 marks. You have to make sure that your students select the project topic very carefully. There are detailed discussions on that. You as a facilitator guide them on what project to choose. Like, some student might want to choose, most of the students would say we would want to choose COVID-19 pandemic as the topic of the project, or some say demonetization, or maybe a cashless economy. So as a teacher, it's very important for them to nurture them and nudge them a little bit and tell them to come out of their comfort zone. That is the beauty of internal assessments. If we treat them differently, then only they will become very, very important for students also. So very important that we nudge them, we force them to come out of their comfort zone and choose something different. Like one of the students chose the Great Indian Wedding Factory, or maybe Great Indian Food Factory. So it is something, or talking about labor intensive industries, regarding why it is important to make bhujia in Bikaner. It is such a small thing and we would never think about it. Why Co-optex as a cooperative? Even though maybe many of us may not go to now Co-optex to buy a sari for ourselves or a fabric for ourselves, or maybe other products that Co-optex as a cooperative has. But why it is so important in as a cooperative in textiles? So let's nudge them, let's them focus them towards the problem based learning rather than just thinking that 20 marks hai and we will just get it like just like that. So these are the guidelines for subjects having project work. So this is the um, process that you need to follow. The student has to be told that you have to choose a topic, then collect the research material, organize your material, and I popularly call it COPAI. So it's very simple to remember. COPAI, COPAI, it's collection, organization, presentation, analysis, and of course what you give in the interpretation of whatever topic that you have chosen. If you want to talk about like how many now that the new zero culture has come and it says that 97% of the people are immune towards COVID-19 pandemic. So let them choose topic like this, whether they want to they agree with it, they disagree with it. So these are some of the purposes of introducing a project work. Now in class 11 and it is not mandatory for you to present a PDF file or a proper physical file. They can present the project work the way they want it. They can use a panel discussion, they can do a cultural show, they can have a debate, they can have a paper presentation. So whichever way in term one that they choose, they can present their project the way they want it. So you must encourage your students to present their topic that they have chosen. If they want to talk about COVID-19, they want to talk about Great Wedding Factory, they want to talk about any other topic that they have chosen, let them present it the way they want it. And that's the beauty of competency-based education, student-centered approach. So this is the checklist. You can take a screenshot of this, and it is, if you want, I can share this PPT also with the Trivendram Sahodaya. So this is the checklist for project work. Introduction of topic, then you identify the various stakeholders which are involved with that particular topic. What are the advantages and disadvantages? What are the strategies that are required to overcome that problem? Reliability, validity, and appropriateness of data is very, very important. And of course, bibliography in the end, resources from where you have received those data, and the authenticity is very, very important. So that is how you have to assess the project. This is stage 1 and stage 2. Just for reference, we are already in the month of October. So stage 1 is July to September, where the instructions, the background discussions were to be carried on, and that carried 5 marks. And October to November is when they are, collecting the data, uploading, modifying, and significance and the relevance of the topic. Challenges required is the rubrics for the way you judge your students. So please do inform your students that when they present their project, you are going to judge them on the significance and the relevance of the topic, challenges encountered while conducting the research. So case study is very important, then only 5 marks to be allotted to them. So please inform them if you are in the process of accepting the projects from your students. So make sure that they're aware that they have done the case studies, they have the data with them, they have analyzed, and they can interpret their data. So this is the midterm assessment, which carries 10 marks. So this is term 2. December to January, which is the stage 1, which requires your data analysis, the conclusions, the bibliography, the annexures, and whatever documents that you would like to attach with your project. So here you have to tell your students that you are in the stage 4, stage 3. You are going to be judged on the content analysis that you have made, your relevance in the current scenario, conclusions and limitations, and bibliography, or whatever the project in totality has been presented by the student. So 5 marks are allotted from December to January. So let's not forget these stages. I'm reiterating this again and again because we forget and we take the project at the end of the session, which is not right, because when we are talking about competency based education, we are talking about judging competencies at every stage. So here from December to January, you are judging the competency of analysis. You are judging how they are arranging their things, how they are able to relate the concept to their current life scenario. Then from January to February, we have final assessment and viva by both internal and external examiners, which carries 5 marks. So this is ASL, ALS now. Yes, these are the guidelines for assessment in listening and speaking skills. This is altogether another webinar in itself. But yes, you should be judging your students for specific information, for general understanding, for predictive listening, inferential listening, listening for pleasure, intensive listening, and evaluative listening. So these are the parameters for assessment and listening skills: initiation and turn taking, relevance to the topic, how fluent you are when you are speaking your topic, your pronunciation, and of course your language. The schedule of course remains same as for other subjects in terms of ASL. You can even ask your students to use tools like Flipgrid to record their audios. And podcasting can also be done, and they can you can judge them based on that. So this is the typology of questions that we are expecting. Now we have received so many sample papers and we all have gone through the questions. So duration of each paper is 90 minutes and MCQ will have 4 options. It will not have all of the above or none of the above options, and case-based questions to be included, which will be around minimum 10% in class 12, and competency-based questions will be around 20% in class 12. Marks for each questions will depend upon the, of course, but depending upon the number of questions that you are going to be. There will not be any negative marking, and this is old. Reading time has been increased to 20 minutes, and the maximum number of papers you already know. So when it comes to bio, psychology, geography, entrepreneurship, BST, history and economics, which is an 80-mark paper, section A is knowledge and understanding. There will be 24 questions, out of which 20 will have to be attempted. The student will be judged for the first 20 questions that he or she has attempted, not depending upon first 20 correct answers. Okay, so section A will be simple MCQ. Section B is also again of 24 questions, 20 questions to be attempted, application and other higher order thinking skills, simple MCQ plus complex MCQs, including assertion and reason-based questions. Section C will be case-based, database questions. So in total 12 questions, out of which 10 need to be attempted. So 20% choice in all different sections and 10% case-based questions in section C. This is the question paper design for physics, chemistry, and computer science. Again, 25 questions, but 20 to be attempted. There will be section A is based on knowledge and understanding. Section B, higher order thinking skills and application, including assertion, reason-based questions. And section C, total of 6 questions, but out of which 5 to be attempted, case-based questions and based on higher order thinking skills. In total, 45 questions to be attempted and approximately 20% choice in every section and 10% case-based questions in section C. This is for mathematics and applied mathematics. Around 16 questions to be attempted and 20 in total. And then again in section B, 16 to be attempted and 20 total questions in all. And similarly, 25% choice in different sections and 10% case-based questions. This is for languages, which is English. I hope my slide is changing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it
So
is changing.
okay,
Yeah.
this is the question paper design for languages where there will be 10 questions to in total, 8 to be attempted, and from passage 2, 8 questions, 6 to be attempted. In section B, which is grammar and writing, which is as per the curriculum, 10 to be attempted out of total number of 12 questions, and in literature 26 to be attempted out of total 30 questions. So in total 50 questions to be done in languages. Now here this is very important in terms of marks to be allotted uh, per question, depending upon the number of questions. So if the maximum marks are 40, the number of questions to be attempted are 50, and the marks per question is 0.80. Similarly, for 35 marks, the 50 questions to be attempted, the marks per question are 0.70. And as you can see further also, for 40, 35, 25, and 15. Now, here the CBSE has a very clear policy that if the marks of a student come in decimals, that is around 16.1, then it will be rounded off to the next number. Earlier, they would round it off for 16.5 to 17, that is zero point 0.5 onwards, zero point 0.5 or zero point 0.5 onwards. But now it is no longer the case. As per this notification that they have issued, it means that it has to be rounded off from the first place itself. So these are the type of questions: assertion and reason, fill in the blanks can come, matching questions, a multiple choice questions, case based, true and false, and others. So now we come to term 1 examination conduct of um, examination, which is going to be starting, which will start in the month of November. So regional or skill subjects exam will start from 15th of November, and major subjects will start from 24th of November. Regarding minor subjects, CBSE will make groups of schools offering these subjects, and thus more than one paper would be conducted by CBSE in the schools on one day. So all examinations will be conducting the offline mode, and date sheet has been already been issued. So OMR sheets will be available on cloud, and you can be downloaded by the school from there itself. Question paper will be printed in the school also. You'll receive an encrypted paper barcode, and then depending upon that, we'll have to open it and then print it in the school only. The exam center will be the own school itself, and it will be sent to the school in the morning. All the facilities which were there for CWSN remain status quo. They remain as it is, and they will continue in these examinations also. I'll discuss the circular also. For CWSN, CBSE has asked all the schools to prepare a pool of scribes so that these students do not suffer in the end due to the lack of scribes. So if you have CWSN students in your school, it is important that you have a pool of scribes ready-made with their names, phone numbers, and their consents for being there in the offline mode, and so that they can be utilized for helping them while taking the exams. So there will be workshops for observers and city coordinators for downloading the OMR and appointment of evaluators. The observer will be present in the school from 7:30 to 5 p.m. And as per COVID-19 protocols, the seating arrangement is 12 per room. So 500 students, one observer, and more than 500 students, two observers. So this is to be taken care of. So city coordinator will appoint the observer, and the observer will be changed as per the need and request. It is compulsory for all the students to appear for the exam, and we all know it's being conducted offline. No student will be put in pass, compartment, or essential repeat category after term 1 examination, but just a general thing. It is important to score pretty good marks in term 1 for them to have a good percentage by the end of the entire term 1 and term 2. So the result will be declared, but it will be declared in terms of the marks scored. So you'll be asked to upload your internal assessment marks beforehand, and CBSE will calculate the marks, that is the total, and release it in the end. So there is no role of the school in that respect that we have to upload the total marks. We're supposed to upload both theory and internal assessment marks separately. So this is the evaluation of OMR sheets. It will start on the same day from 1:40 to 4 p.m. and answer key will be available and anybody can check the OMR sheet. So 5 circles will be provided in the OMR sheet. I'm sure we'll be receiving a lot more information as we come near to the exam. The student will have to write the correct option, that is A, B, C, and then darken the oval also. So please do tell your students to write. If it is they just darken the oval, that is not the procedure. They need to write A, B, C, D or whatever is their option and then darken the oval also. Handwritten answer will be final in case the answer does not tally with the darkened circle, because we are doing it manually. If 20 questions are to be attempted out of 25, student will completely strike off by putting a line on the unattempted 5 questions. So these are the instructions which have to be given to the student, that you have 5 options, 5 circles, and this is how you have to write the option. And if you are not doing those questions, you have to strike them off. So evaluation will be done at the center of the exam and OMR sheets will be have to be sent to CBSE by 5 p.m. on the same day, right? So this is something which I wanted to take up regarding MCQs. I just wanted to talk more about what is a what makes a question good. So if you have time, then we can discuss this, or we can proceed further.
No, ma'am, we can briefly tell us. I mean,
Okay.
that will be very interesting to know. I mean,
Okay. So this is basically about now that each of the teachers are framing questions, and because it's not very easy to frame an MCQ.
Correct.
MCQ is very different from framing a subjective question that you're making. So what should you do? What should you think before you frame a good question? So these are some of the pointers that you have to think about, that a good question, it will test a skill. A skill is like, you know, the Bloom's taxonomy skills that we are talking about. Which skill it is testing? It's testing remembering, it testing understanding, it testing your application, it testing your creation. What is it testing? So the question has to be interesting. It should not be too direct, you know, right? What is the difference between this and this is? So this is not something which is you know, possible in an MCQ. You have to make it interesting so that it stimulates your thinking. It should be age specific, because MCQs can be very tricky, and there is a tendency for mentors to frame MCQs which are much difficult than the age that you are testing for. So this is something which, please remember, when you're testing a 14-year-old or a 90 or a 16-year-old, please ensure that you know the age group that you're testing for. Really test what is intended to be tested. Okay, so if you're testing, if you're talking about demonetization of an economy, if you want to test your student regarding whether they know how many times the rupee has been demonetized, then please test for what they are being here for. If you are talking about demonetization, don't ask them about cashless economy. Okay, so test them for what you are testing them for. So state what is clear and state what is expected is clear and unambiguous way, and use an age appropriate language. And a good question does not have, you know, too many details in it, or and it should not be taken directly from your textbook. So when you are talking about an MCQ, it is very important to know what is your lead in, what is your stimulus, and what is it that you want to, so that your student is motivated to attempt that particular question. So you're questioning together the graphic that you have, the table that you make, the graph that you have, the picture that you have, they all are leading you towards the question, the passage that you have. So these are the leadings, okay? And then this entire acts as a stimulus for your student to look at the various options. Now, options are known as the distractors. They can be called wrong. There are wrong options here. Then there are incorrect responses, and then there are inferior alternatives. So remember, when you frame your question, the basic point, the basic that you have, the question, the graphic, acts as a stimulus for your student. Otherwise, MCQs will become, they will not be justifying the purpose for which you are testing them upon. So this is what these are the CBSE circulars, that for the change of the center, you already must have received, that the students are allowed to change their centers. Then there is blockchain documents, that academic blockchain documents, which allows to verify their documents, so they don't need to be worried about their documents being lost, or whether they can verify their documents at a later stage. This is regarding CBSE circular regarding the compensation, that is the concessions being provided to the CWSN candidates, and they remain as in the previous years, so there is no change. And also that you need to create a pool of scribes for your CWSN candidates. So this is in totality why it is so important for you to know how to conduct the term 1 examination, and which is catering to CWSN also. So this is everything about competency based education, which is based on Bloom's taxonomy. So ask the right questions, and then only you will get your right answers. So the idea is that when you are framing your MCQs, when you are testing your students, make sure you prepare them in such a manner that it states clear expectations. Okay, and you are able to know that what outcome that you want to be achieved. And that is what Bloom's taxonomy talks about. That is, instead of saying that my student has understood the concept, or my student knows this particular concept, or my student has learned this concept, it is very important to compartmentalize as per the Bloom's taxonomy your learning outcomes. You should be able to write your learning outcome, and you should be able to know that when I'm framing my question, I am testing my student on knowledge. Is my student able to define? Is my student able to list? Is my student able to identify? So instead of saying my student has understood the concept, it is better that we say that my student can make a list, or can make of the various uses of a particular commodity. So my student is able to explain, my student is able to interpret, my student is able to justify whether so many people have not been vaccinated under the age of 40. So my student should be able to justify and not just know that why so many people have not been vaccinated. Instead, he should be able to justify the reason behind it. So my student should be able to differentiate, my student should be able to evaluate, design, and develop, right? So to sign off, and I just want to play a small video on collaboration. I hope I'm able to share. I'll just, is my slideshow visible now?
It is visible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll just play this video. The purpose of playing this video was that do not think, each one of you who's here, that when we are talking about competency-based education, we are focusing entirely on a student-centered approach. It is a collaboration that we are talking about. As we were discussing in the beginning of the session also, that blended learning, when we are talking about blended space, we are talking about collaboration. So it is dedicated to each one of you. Get together. You cannot work alone. Come together, work with your team, work with your other teachers, work with your mentors, work with your principals, work with your resource person, ask questions, because nothing is possible without collaborating with each other. Because we all are new in this respect, we all are learning, so let's collaborate.
Madam, the uh, the video is running or not? I mean, I think it is stagnant. I think, no.
Let me play it like this.
Okay. Okay.
Some problems are just too big and too complex for any one person to handle alone. For these challenges, we need to collaborate. But what does that mean? Collaboration is more than just working together with others. To really work together effectively, especially when resources are tight, we need to invest in good collaboration. Good collaboration means sharing the responsibilities, risks, benefits, and the credit. Good collaboration also means that everyone who is involved works toward a common goal. To do that, we need to know our limitations, leave our ego at the door, keep an open mind, be physically and mentally present, ensure everyone has an equal voice, invest trust to get trust, step out of our comfort zone, value each other's contributions. There are many benefits of a good collaboration, such as engaged and empowered members, increased capacity to solve complex problems, strong relationships grounded in trust, honesty, and respect, efficient use of resources, and a greater overall impact. Remember, we are stronger when we work together. Alone, we can do so little. Together, we can do so much.
Right. So alone we can do so little, and together we can do so much. So
Yeah.
that's the motto that we all have to follow. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Madam, you'll be sharing the slides, please. No, no, you're not audible. You're not audible now.
You can share with me the email address, and I'll definitely share the
Yeah,
slides.
because it'll be useful for our teachers, no, so that we have a
Definitely,
very
definitely.
detailed, slides, and it is very useful for the teachers,
Absolutely.
especially in this time. Yeah. And so, question time. Am I right?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Yes, sir. Question time.
Yeah. And Madam, in the first term, I'm a science teacher. I mean, the term one, I don't think we will have any external practicals. I
Right.
think, yeah. So we will be conducting 15 marks. I mean, what do you call
Yes.
lab-based, test or something like that.
Absolutely.
And so, okay, like that. Okay.
But you need to maintain the evidence.
Yeah, evidence has to be maintained.
Evidence has to be
Yeah,
maintained.
yeah.
You may be asked to upload the evidence.
Oh, maybe. Okay.
Maybe. There is maybe a way of, terrifying each one of us, but
Yeah,
still it
definitely.
is something which we should maintain, the evidence.
Okay. And the problem with us is that we have only now limited time for the term 2, because already
Right.
exams are going to come, and it will be over only by middle of December. Then we have only limited time to complete the term 2, and so this time I think it is going to be a little bit difficult, and especially so for children or in the online. Now they are going to come by November 1st only. In Kerala, we start only by November 1st. I mean, by Monday.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so we have only very limited time, even for the
It's a
reviews and all.
tightrope that we all are walking on.
Yeah, correct, correct. So this is the main point. And any questions? I mean, from the teachers' side. I mean, madam, do we have any questions in the chat box? I mean, any ma'am?
No, no, sir. No.
No questions. Okay,
No
I think.
Sheila ma'am wants
Sheila
to say
ma'am,
something.
Sheila ma'am, we are not able to hear you. I mean,
You're on mute mode.
yeah.
Ma'am,
No,
please unmute yourself.
no, still.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir, question is, we have only a limited number of students. Hardly 20 students are going to appear for the grade 10 exam. So our school will be the center for term 1. Term 1.
Yes, ma'am, your school will be the center for term 1, depending upon, yes, because mostly they are going for self-centers unless there is some problem in terms of commuting in problem. Otherwise, mostly it will be self-centers.
Okay, okay, ma'am. Thank you, thank you.
Your school has been a center?
No, 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 ma'am. First time we are going to appear for the exam. So newly affiliated school, newly affiliated school. Yeah.
So then that notification will come from the CBSE. If it's a first time, then it will come from the CBSE, whether your school will be a center or not.
Okay.
Madam, for the languages, I mean, how they are going to do it? I mean, because the dates are not. Have they published the dates? The date sheet has been, yeah. For the languages also.
Yes. Yeah, everything. Minor, major, they have given everything to the school.
Okay, languages also. Okay.
Hanji, everything is there.
No, you have some problem with the audio. Some problem is there with audio. Yeah, you have some echo or something.
Right. So if there are any questions, you can always, Annie ma'am, so I'm in touch with Annie ma'am. If there are further questions, you can most surely ask on WhatsApp. And I will share the, of course, PPT with you. So you can share with your teachers also.
Ma'am, excuse me, ma'am. Can you tell once again the rounding up of marks?
Rounding of marks is very easy. Earlier, what used to happen was that when we were doing, I mean, you all must have been a part of result generation committee of class 12th and 10th. So what you would do is when it comes to rounding off, it was around, if it is 16.5, you would round it off to 70. Okay. But now, because of this, the maze that has been created with somewhere you have to do 50 questions, in some subjects it's 60 questions. So what is CBSE has done that if you have, the child gets the benefit, okay? So if it is 16.1, then it has to be rounded off to 70. So it doesn't matter whether it is, you have to reach the benchmark of 5.5. So even if just one place above the round figure, then you can round it off to the next number.
Okay, thank you.
Right. So this is there in the PPT also?
Yes, it is there. It is there.
Yes, of course. Why not do? There is a question from someone regarding biology practical exam. You have to conduct lab-based activities. You have to conduct it properly. It has to be a proper exam. Like, I mean, just assume that the external examiner is there and you would conduct your lab activities. So term 1 practical has to be very much similar to term 2 practical. Because the evidence, as I said to sir also, that the evidence may be asked to be, you may be asked to upload the evidence, and you should maintain a proper record of all internal assessments. It has to be reliable and valid, and it should justify the marks that you are allotting to your student.
So, ma'am, for class 10 also, when we are uploading the internals, we have to keep the evidence also.
Hanji, you must maintain the evidence for all, because there are projects in economics, then there is AI, the subject that you have. So for everything internal assessments that you are uploading, you should keep a record. You should keep the evidence.
Madam, regarding project work for the term 1 assessment, but can you please explain again, clearly, for a little more clarity, the project work?
The project work for classes 11th and 12th you're talking about? Hello? I think so. So if you, Hanji.
No, we have to initiate the project work. Already it is on the way. Ongoing project is there. So how do we do the assessment of project? Solely done at the end of the term 2 or?
No.
No.
See, the project work has been divided into two parts.
Okay.
So one is term 1 and another one is term 2.
Okay.
Term 1 is when internally the teacher who is teaching is assessing the students.
Okay.
And that is the reason I gave you stage 1 and stage 2,
Correct.
which has been given by CBSE also.
Okay.
But since now we are already there, it's October 30th today. So it's like the idea is that in the term 1, you get the framework of the file ready and you provide them with the rubrics, you judge them on how they collect the material, on the content that they have, how are they presenting their project, and they can present the project the way they want. There is no rule that in the term 1 you have to have a file and you have to present the project in the form of a file only. You can present the form by way of skit, by way of group discussion, panel discussion, rap song, any way by they want, or a PPT, Flipgrid, video, anything. But in term 2, you are supposed to have a physical file with an external examiner and the regular process that you were following in the previous year and the Viva of 5 marks. So that is how we do that. So in term 2, we can follow the stages that are given by the CBSE.
Okay. Good. And so I think if we have no more questions, probably we can get into the final stage.
Yes, sir. I would like to invite Dr.
Good evening, ma'am.
sir, for a feedback and a word of thanks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Sanuja Sabu, ma'am. Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, ma'am, I have a doubt. Is there any updates about our art integration works? Is there any updates?
Yes, ma'am. As it was mentioned in the PPT also, it will be similar to the circular which came in the month of May last year. So everything remains same. You will continue with your art integrated projects like you did last year.
Okay, ma'am. Thank
you. Will there be project this year?
Yes, I think it's the same question, you know?
Yes.
So that is what I have answered, that this is the art integrated project will be there and it will be same as the last year.
Okay. I think we can wind up the, we have almost come to the end of this webinar program, and I would like to thank our distinguished speaker of today, Mrs. Aishwarya Tanuja ma'am. I think for making an excellent presentation, and all the slides were very clear and it was very detailed. I think there is no question of further doubts in this case, and she will be sharing the PPTs also. So it was an excellent presentation, very meaningful, and I think interesting also. So maybe we don't have much questions from our side because most of the things are very clear. The doubt was only with the project work and all, little bit, and otherwise I think everybody is comfortable and ready for the exam. And so thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your all efforts and for being part of our Sahodaya, and for giving such a wonderful presentation. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you, Anil. Ma'am, thank you, Ravindra sir,
Yeah.
and everybody who's a part of Trivandrum Sahodaya.
Yeah.
And while I giving my, the vote of thanks, just there's a one question in chat box, so I would like to answer that also. There is no the notification for term one examination, internal examination, will not be coming from the CBSE. You will have to decide it within your the schedule that you have and give it to your students and conduct as if you are conducting with an external examiner. So there is no notification from CBSE for internal assessment exams. So thank you all. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Good to be here. Looking forward to having more interactions with each one of you.
So I have to thank Annie ma'am also for moderating this session.
Thank you.
Yes, of course.
Thank you, ma'am, and also Tamati ma'am for your presence and for energy and your presence. I mean, of course, you are not able to unmute. I think there is micro problem. And I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all the participants and all the principals, I mean teachers, for your presence. And so thank you all, and we will be, I mean, sharing the PPT with all of you, and so that you will be you will be able to take your own time and analyze the whole slides and see what is happening, and we can send emails to ma'am also through any ma'am. So I think so. Thank you very much. Thank you all for this wonderful session. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you
Thank you,
very much.
Aishwarya, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.